Hello beautiful friends, and welcome to my channel. Today I'm doing something a little bit different than I have before. And let me kind of preface this. We are, as I'm recording this, reaching the end of spring. Today is the 12th of June, and on the 21st of June we reach the summer solstice, where summer begins. In the springtime, we prepare our soil and we plant seeds. Springtime is a time of doing and preparing and beginnings. And after the spring, we move into the summer. And the summer is a time of nurturing the seeds that we've planted. It's a time of waiting. It's a time of resting. It's a time of enjoying. And so with all of that in mind, I wanted today to focus on a theme of healing, so that we could plant some seeds today to begin the process of healing as we move into the summer. I wanted us all to have a sound foundation, a solid start, a well-tended garden for something beautiful and fruitful to grow over the summer. So when the fall comes around, we can harvest the fruits of what we planted and then what we nurtured. So again, today I'm going to focus on a theme of healing, to give us some tools, to give us some seeds to plant, to help us begin the process or refine the process or continue the process of healing, with the hope that as we then move through the summer, we will be prepared to nurture this healing, to take care of ourselves the way we need to be taken care of, to allow this healing to unfold. So as we move into the fall and then into the winter time, we will be in a place where we can harvest this healing and offer it up to our divine selves as we go into the winter. So I'm going to do 3 pick-a-card readings today, but rather than the way that I typically do a pick-a-card, and that is to have a common reading and there will be 3 groups, and you just choose which group, and the readings are the same theme. But today, what we're going to do is we're going to have an overall theme of healing, and then I'm going to have 3 different tarot spreads that deal with different areas of healing. So you can pick which area of healing you need. You can listen to as many of the readings as you feel would be beneficial in your life, since we all have several areas that need healing. You can choose the one that you most expediently need. You can choose all 3. You can choose the one that you've been avoiding. Whatever seems right to you. And the themes within our overarching theme of healing that we're going to be dealing with today is in this first group, which has the statue of Kuan Yin and the card that says Parched. This reading will deal with feeling rejected. So reading number 1 with Kuan Yin and the card of Parched will deal with feeling rejected. Group 2 with the Chinese picture stone and the card that says Lost. Will deal with moving through grief. Group 2, the Chinese picture stone and the card of Lost, will deal with moving through grief. And group 3, with the Taguanut dragon carving and the card of Loud, will deal with overcoming trauma. Group 3, the Taguanut dragon and the card of Loud, will deal with overcoming trauma. So take a moment and decide which reading that you would like to hear, which reading calls to you, which reading you most need. And again, that can be any or all of the readings. And I will see you at your reading. Each of the readings will be linked below in the description. So if you choose a particular reading, simply drop down below in the description for the video and click on the timestamp for the group that you've chosen to go directly to your reading. And I will see you there. Hello, Group 1. This is the group, the message to heal the feeling of rejection with Kuan Yin and the card of Parched. Healing feelings of rejection. Spirit, can you provide for Group 1, please? Card to help them identify what is the source of their rejection. What is the source of Group 1's feeling of rejection? What is the source, Spirit, of Group 1's feeling of rejection, please? Okay, the card that we got is the Ace of Swords. The Ace of Swords. Your feeling of rejection is coming from being admonished when you present ideas, when you speak aloud. In particular, when you are excited or enthusiastic or passionate about an idea, and you are shamed for this idea, you are shot down for your ideas, you are not appreciated, and you are publicly, perhaps even humiliated because of your ideas. Spirit, thank you for that message. Can you please give us messages for Group 1 to let them know what are their strengths? What are the strengths of Group 1? Okay, group one. We got the Magician and we got the Devil. Your strengths are that these ideas that you have, these flashes of inspiration, these passionate beliefs that you bring forth that are not appreciated, are tremendous sources of manifestation and of power and just amazing abundance and connection. These ideas that you are having that are not appreciated are tremendously important. They are tremendously powerful. And so it's very important that you do overcome this feeling of rejection, because these ideas have something to offer the world, not just you. These are such powerful ideas, such powerful insights and understandings and beliefs that you have. Perhaps that's why they're being shot down, because they seem almost too good to be true. They seem almost fantastical. You are, however, shackling yourself to this idea that your ideas and insights don't hold merit. This belief that this trust that you have in these individuals that are shooting down these ideas, and trust may not be the right word, but you're allowing them, you're believing in them, you believe that perhaps they know better than you do. That is stopping you from becoming this incredibly powerful individual. But this is only as strong as you're believing this. This limiting belief can only hold you back if you give it power. So it's extremely important that you can learn to overcome the idea that your naysayers know better than you, because you have this tremendous... This card is the ability to bring together heaven and earth, bring together ideas and actions in such a way that they create the most fantastic outcomes. Many people have wonderful ideas, and many people work very hard and produce things, but very few people can take these tremendous ideas and tremendous work and put them together in such a way that they create something almost out of this world. And you can be that person. You are that person, but you must let go of this belief that everyone else is telling you that what you want is too big, or what you think is ridiculous. Whatever these limiting things that these people are telling you, stop believing them. They're not right. You know that you have this ability. There's no reason that anything is impossible. None at all. The only thing that makes anything impossible is believing that it's not possible. Spirit, thank you so much for that message. And next, can you give us messages? What makes Group 2 stand out from other people? What is it that makes them stand out from other people? what it is that makes you stand out from others is that you have these tremendous insights. You have these amazing ideas, these flashes of knowing. They're not just, hey, this would be a good idea, or it'd be cool if we could do this. These are, oh my goodness, that would revolutionize this entire process. Or this could change the world. Or this would make people's lives so much easier, and it's not that hard. In addition to that, you know how to make these flashes of inspiration something practical. You know how to put them into a language that makes sense to other people. You can take these amazing, fantastical ideas and make them something ordinary or common, so they don't seem so out of the reach of the everyday world. You can make these amazing, fantastical things that will change everything seem like it's just something that might be a good idea. So you bring them into a realm where people are willing to believe them. And most people don't have the ability to see what you can see in these ideas. Most people see the utility of them on a small scale, but they don't see that in time, this coupled with this ordinary input or this ordinary action will have a ripple effect that will go on to influence so many more things. And not only do you have the ability to put this into a form that people can believe in and can go along with, but you have the ability and the drive to keep people engaged with this idea so that it can continue to move through all of its phases and become what ultimately you know that it can become. And not only do you have the capability to keep pushing this idea forward, you have the capability to push this idea beyond barriers, huge, tremendous barriers that are stopping whatever this is now from manifesting on its own. There are barriers in society, there are barriers in people's minds, there are barriers in people's desire, their willingness. There are so many barriers that have been put up in our society that keep us thinking small, that keep us believing that fantastic things don't happen to everyday people. But you know they do, and you know how to continue to push to make that happen and break down these barriers. That's what makes you stand out from the rest. Thank you, Spirit, for that beautiful message. May we please have messages regarding what are some good qualities that Group 1 can offer the world. What good qualities does Group 1 offer the world? What good qualities does Group 1 offer the world right now? Okay. the cards that we got are the Knight of Cups and the Ten of Wands. The qualities that you bring to the world right now is you are willing and able to carry heavy, heavy burdens as far as you need to carry them. And while you're doing that, you bring a sense of joy and happiness, which in effect makes these burdens almost invisible to anyone else. You can carry your own burdens, you can carry other people's burdens, and you do so with such a sense of happiness and joy and caring of everyone that people don't even notice that you're carrying these huge burdens. And in fact, your sense of emotional joy and happiness is so great that you don't even realize most of the time that you're carrying these burdens. That's what you bring. That's the qualities that you bring to the world right now. Spirit, thank you so much for these messages. And finally, what steps can Group 1 take to overcome this feeling of rejection? What steps can they take to overcome this feeling of rejection, please, Spirit? Okay, this is beautiful. We got the Death card. So what you can do to overcome this feeling of rejection is just let it go. Just let it go. It doesn't serve you in any way, not any way. You don't need to believe it. You don't need to carry that burden. You don't need to be weighed down under this belief. Just let it go. Absolutely let it go. And accept that by doing that, your dreams will come true. And not just your dreams. This star shines not just above you, but this star shines on the world. So these dreams that you bring to the world, these dreams that you bring to yourself, these barriers that you break through so that you can push your ideas through, create this beautiful brightness for everyone to see. And this isn't the Sun card. This isn't the Sun card. This isn't a big, glorious, bright happiness. This is a star that shines incredibly bright when it is darkest. So this star, this isn't just creating warmth and happiness. This is the brightest spot possible in the darkest time imaginable. So not only do you give hope and fulfill dreams for people in general, but you do it when times are the darkest. You do that when times are the very, very bleakest. That's what you bring. That is who you are. So drop this idea that your ideas aren't worthy, that your ideas are too big, that your ideas are too much. Just let this go. Because what you have to offer, we all need. Wow. What an amazing reading. I am so very grateful to be able to have read this for you. Thank you for bringing me in on this. This is amazing. Wow. I hope that this resonated for you. I hope for the sake of all of us that this helps you to heal this sense of rejection, because we need you to heal. We need this. We need this in our world right now. If this resonated with you, I would love to hear any comments that you have. I would love to know if you know what these ideas are that this reading speaks of. I would love to hear them. I would just love to hear from you, whatever you might want to say, because you're the kind of people that I want in my world. Thank you so much for being here with me today, and I hope that you come back soon. Thank you. Hi, Group 2. This is your reading, the Chinese picture stone and the Lost card, moving through grief. Spirit, may we have a card, please, to represent Group 2's feelings internally right now. Group 2 internally. The card that we got is the Ace of Pentacles. The Ace of Pentacles. Right now, you are feeling very heavy. It's not even a feeling of stuck. It's just a feeling of being so heavy. You can't even pull yourself up. It's as though it's almost as though you don't have a being, a physical body. It's almost as though there's just this lump of blackness, and it's so heavy. You just don't feel like you can even, you don't feel like you can even move it, let alone dig it out. And it's secluded, it's walled off, it's almost unreachable. Spirit, can we have a card, please, to represent the deceased loved one for Group 2, please? The Five of Swords. We received the Five of Swords. This card is telling me that your loved one is troubled by the grief that you are having to deal with right now. They're not blaming you, they're not scolding you. They just feel it with you, and it makes them so sad to know that you are having to deal with this. They didn't really mean to go away. They may not have realized what it would be, what impact it would have on you, them going away. They didn't choose it. They didn't necessarily fight against it, but they just really, they didn't consider it. They may not have had time to really consider leaving. They may have been preoccupied with other thoughts. They may not have had the insight to get a clear picture of what it might mean for them to leave this incarnation. But they didn't mean for it to be so hard on you. And they very much feel that now. and it's creating a great deal of sadness for them. But underneath that sadness, they also have a hope that you will get through this. They feel like they just need to sit with you while you go through this, and they are sitting with you. They're staying nearby. They're staying right with you in this darkness that you're enduring right now. They're there. They're not going anywhere until you're ready for them to. Until you can see through this darkness a little better. They're going to stay right where they are. They're staying right with you. Spirit, thank you for that. Thank you for those cards. Can you please give us messages to represent the relationship between the deceased and group 2, please? The relationship that they had. The Page of Cups. The Page of Cups to represent your relationship. You had so much fun together. You may have been childhood friends, or you may have just had almost a childlike feeling when you got together. This relationship was just full of joy, and it was full of childlike enthusiasm. You couldn't wait to get together with this individual. You always enjoyed being in their company, and not just it wasn't a sitting around shooting the breeze kind of a relationship. This was dancing and not caring who saw. This was going down and jumping into the swimming hole. This was taking off on an adventure on your bicycles on a whim. This was laughing until your sides hurt. This was just childlike silliness. It filled you up with so much just love and joy. It just rejuvenated you whenever you were in the presence of this person. And I hope for your sake that you were with them often. Because you two were something else when you were together. Spirit, thank you for that. Can we have a card, please, for a lesson that the deceased has taught group 2, please? A lesson that their loved one taught them. Okay. We got the Three of Swords. The Three of Swords. The lesson that your loved one taught you was to never overlook the joy of being with someone you loved or doing something that you loved because you had regrets or because you had some heartache. They taught you to never hold on to grudges. They taught you to never let sadness in your heart overcome the good things that were in your life. Don't let that balance shift to the side of being sad or hopeless or hurt. They taught you to always honor those feelings, but not let them lead. Spirit, thank you for that message. May we have messages for group 2, please, for something that will help them to move on. What is something that will help group 2 to move on through this grief? We got the Hierophant. So what's going to help you move on through this grief is to really be with yourself, to be patient. You're going to need to take some time alone. This isn't a time that you're going to be able to tolerate socializing much. It's not to say that you can't be with other people. Sometimes you're going to need that. Sometimes you're just going to need to not be alone. Once in a while, you need to be brought out of this so that you don't end up wallowing in your sadness, in your grief. But when you're with other people, it's going to shut down this healing process. It's going to numb the healing, which is not always a bad thing. Sometimes we need that. Sometimes we need to be a little bit numb to the pain that we are healing. But ultimately, you're going to have to take the time to be with yourself, to understand the gifts that you've received from this relationship, honor the sadness that you're feeling from the loss of this individual, and really feel those feelings deeply. If you don't feel those feelings, if you don't honor them and acknowledge them and live with them, even though they're painful, they get stuck and they can come up at any moment. And they can come up throughout the rest of your life. But if you put those emotions in a place where you can love them because you loved this individual, you can honor the grief because the grief means that you loved this individual and you are sad that they are not here in this material plane with you anymore. But you still had this connection with them. You still had this deep love. And to honor the understanding that the reason that this grief is so hard is because you did have that deep love. You did have that deep connection. They did bring you so much joy. So you had all of that when you were together. You were so very fortunate to have all of that together. So the intensity of that joy that you had together is going to rival the intensity of the sadness of their being gone now. But you have to allow that to balance one another. You have to allow that to be true. Not sweep it under the rug, not push it down, not numb this pain, but acknowledge that the magnitude of the pain is equal to the magnitude of the joy that you shared with them. Spirit, how can group 2 connect with their loved one going forward? How can they keep a connection with their loved one? Okay. We got the Judgment card and we got the Two of Wands. So the way that you can keep a connection going forward with your loved ones is to believe that they can contact you, to believe that even though they are not still on this material plane, it is the honest truth that you can still speak to them, that they can still hear you, and that you can still hear them. You have to seize that understanding, to know that that is the truth. Whether you connect with them in the form of signs, whether you hear them, these trumpets here, you may hear them, you might actually see them, you might see things that remind you of them. You may just have a feeling that they're nearby. All of those things are true and real. And you need to grab onto those at every opportunity to know that they're still with you. And Spirit, if we could please, if we could receive a message from the deceased for group 2, a message from their loved one who's passed on. What is the message? The message that we received is the 8 of Swords. The 8 of Swords. And so the message that your loved one is passing along to you is don't close yourself off from life now. Don't get stuck in this place of grieving. Don't tie yourself up with this. You don't have to stay in a place of grief to honor them. You don't need to always pull your sadness forward. Again, here, this lesson that they taught you. It's not necessary to keep yourself bound up in the grief, to prove to them and to prove to everyone else that you love them and you miss them. That is only tying you to the sadness side of the relationship now. That's tying you to the grief of having lost them, and by doing that you lose the joy of having had them. So their message to you is, balance this. Balance this. Don't get caught. Don't impose restrictions on yourself to stay in the grief, to stay in a place of sadness. Be able to continue to move forward, always continuing to move through the sadness and the joy. They're equal. They need to be balanced. Let that happen. Let that be where you can be with this. It may not be right away. And this is telling you not to move out of sadness when it is true grief and sadness. But once you get to a place where you begin to feel better, sometimes you begin to have more moments of happiness. This is saying, don't push those away. Don't ignore those. Don't deny those because you feel like you should be sad. This is going to continue to flow back and forth and back and forth. And over time, it will equalize. It will balance. And so don't shift the balance artificially. Don't hold yourself to the grief. Let the memory of the happiness be as strong as it needs to be, as strong as it was when they were here. Let the grief dissipate as much as it can. Let it become a place of more melancholy than just outright grief. A place where you can remember all of the fun that you had and have just pangs of sadness because they're not still there. But don't get stuck in this grieving. Honor it, follow it through, justify it. But don't get stuck in it. I'm so sorry for your loss, but I'm so happy that you had such a beautiful relationship that you can think back on and remember and feel that joy and that love. If you need help to get through this, reach out and go inward as well. Feel your heart. Allow yourself to feel what you need to feel as much as you can. Step back from it when you need to, and then go back to it until all of this can even out and settle to a place that it can all be together and not out of balance. Don't deny the sadness, but don't deny the happiness either. So I hope that this has brought you some peace. I thank you for allowing me to be a part of this journey with you. And I am grateful if this in any way has helped you. Take care of yourself, and I hope to see you again soon. Bye-bye. Hi, Group 3. This is your reading. Otagoa Nut, Dragon Carving, the Loud card. And this reading is for overcoming and healing trauma. So for our first card, Spirit, can we please get messages regarding how this trauma impacts the lives of Group 3, please? How does this trauma impact their life? How does their trauma impact their life? We got the Eight of Wands. This trauma always puts you on your guard. You are constantly sensing, fearing, protecting yourself against further attacks. That's how this trauma is currently affecting your life, impacting your life. And in doing so, it's keeping you from doing anything but that. You find yourself doing nothing but being prepared for further trauma. Even if you try to do something else, you can't focus on it. You can't give it your all, your 100%, because you are constantly on edge. You are constantly on the lookout for the next thing, the next hit. So Spirit, can we please get messages with regard to the emotions that Group 3 carries with this trauma? What emotions is Group 3 carrying around this trauma? Okay. We got the King of Wands. The King of Wands. The emotions put forth by this card, this is showing me that you have a good deal of fear around this emotion, but that you also have the drive, the desire to overcome that. You're wanting to leap through this flame, but you're being held back. You can't get there just yet. You have a great deal of love, but it is being stifled by this trauma. You just have an overabundance of love. You have just so much love that's just waiting to come out. Perhaps because of this trauma. Perhaps because you've not known or you've not been given love. And so you so much want to show love, give love. The other card that we got is the Universe. You want... I feel like this is saying you want to give so much. You just have this huge desire to just give love to maybe because of this trauma you don't have a family, or you've never felt like you're a part of a family, and you want that. You want the whole Megillah. You want it all. You want the white picket fence and the idyllic home and pets and children, and you have just this incredible desire, just this burning desire to leap over this trauma and bring all of this into your life. You have this empty space. You have this darkness that was brought about by this trauma. But because you have that empty hole in you, you have the space, you have a place to fill with this. It's kind of a fascinating relationship, because you were hurt, possibly denied, feeling a part of a family or feeling loved, and that left a hole. You have this hole. You've got a space ready-made to fill with just this amazing love and everything you've ever wanted. You just need to figure out how to get to it. Spirit, can we get messages, please, for group 3 on how this affects their relationships with others? How does this affect their relationship with others? Yeah. So we got the 7 of Cups. The 7 of Cups is telling us that because you've not had the experience of love, you don't know what it looks like. You don't know how to choose something that is truly a true love. There's a lot of things out there that you have seen that might be love, in the media, in television, in social media. There's a lot of different ways that love has been portrayed, and a lot of them are not true love. A lot of them are false, and because you've not had the experience of having true love in your life, of having honest love and people who are compassionate towards you, you don't know what that looks like. So you're afraid to step out and go after this. You're afraid to step out and go after the love of your life, everything you've ever wanted, because you're not sure what that is. You're not sure what it is that you should be going after. You see things that you think might be love, but you're not sure. You don't know. You just don't know how love looks. So you keep yourself protected from people. You keep yourself held back, and you foster a distance between you. There's a cutoff. There's a disconnect here as well. There's a barrier. There's a barrier between you and the rest of the world. And this barrier is dangerous not only to them, but it's dangerous to you. It's sharp. It can cut. But you feel as though it's safer to do this than it is to make the wrong decision. So you hold yourself back from people around you. Spirit, thank you for these messages, and can we please get messages with regard to how this affects the way Group 3 sees themselves? How does this affect the way they see themselves? You don't know how to see yourself. You have a lot of darkness and confusion. Everything is unclear. Everything, there's very little light. There's very little illumination on who you are. You don't know who you are. You don't know how you feel about yourself. You don't know who you are. You don't know what gifts you have. You just don't know. You spent so much time protecting yourself, being afraid to move forward, keeping people at arm's length, not knowing what's the right decision. You have looked at so many things through a lens of fear and through a lens of being harmed that you don't know anymore what's real and what's not, if you ever did know. Because I feel like whatever this trauma is, it fed you a false narrative. It may have been physical, it may have been emotional, it may have been mental, but regardless, it lied to you. It lied to you about what is worthwhile, not just what is worthwhile around you and in your life, but what is worthwhile within you. So the way you see yourself is you just don't know. You don't know who you are. You don't know which parts of you are real, which parts of you are important, which parts of you are necessary. You just don't know. You're kind of in the dark about who you are right now. Spirit, thank you for these messages, and can we please have messages for group 3 on what energy do they need to draw from to begin to release this trauma? What energy can they draw to begin to release this trauma? Okay. The first card we got is the Strength card, the inner strength. So you have this inner strength. You do. Here's this darkness because you don't know where to look. You're not sure where this is. But now, when you look inside, this is getting so much brighter now. It's still the moon. It's still at night. It's still dark. But now it's full. And it's bringing so much more light to you. See, here, very little light. You don't know what's real. You don't know what's right. Here, you're still in the dark. You're fighting in the dark against things you can't see. Here, you're trying to light your way, but it's still in the dark. But the energy that you can draw from is this inner light. You have this inner light. And to find that inner light, you have to become childlike. You have to go back to where everything is a blank slate. Everything is infinite possibility. Everything is new. You have to go back to a place where you don't have all of these preconceived ideas. You don't have all of these messages that have been put on you from outside. You have to go back to a place where you didn't have any of that yet. You were just brand new. Nobody had told you anything. Nobody told you any of the wrong things. Nobody told you any of the right things. Nobody disagreed with anything that anybody else told you. You just were brand new. So you need to go back and examine what's in here. What's in here? What is true and what is not? And that's the third card that we got. You need to go inside into this inner strength, into this inner light. Close out all of, as much as you can, the voices that have frightened you, that have molded you and shaped you to what they wanted you to know. And you need to pick out what is true and what is not. And you need to throw out the things that are knocking you off balance. Find your center. Feel into what you really believe. And it's not going to be easy. It's not going to be easy because you've been living in this darkness, this confusion, this state of protecting yourself, this defensive mode for so long that you've not been able to pay attention inside. It's been too dangerous for you to look inside. It's been too dangerous for you to let down your guard long enough to hear the quiet voices inside. That's what this is about. This is a quiet place. This is a childlike place. You need to be able to hear the little voices, the tiny voices inside, and to be able to feel what it was like when nothing was scary. So the energy that you need to draw upon is this inner strength that you have, and it is there. It's there. It's there in this place where you started before everybody started heaping all of their garbage on. And draw from this inner strength and this place of innocence and balance that with what you now, what's in your life now. All of this junk, all of this hardship, all of this fear, all of this trauma, which is what we're talking about here, needs to be balanced by your inner strength and your inner innocence, the knowledge that you come ultimately from a place that is pure and innocent and strong. You have this inner self that knows how to deal with anything. You just need to balance all of this stuff that's trying to protect you, all of these things that are making you crazy or telling you to do things that are going to take you away or get you out of harm's way, even if those things really don't feel very good. So you need to balance all of that out. Find this inner strength. This inner strength can lead you out from under all of this. This is a precarious balance here. And this precarious balance has come about because you've got a lot of inner systems that are trying to protect you. And most of those developed when you were very, very young. And so the ways they're trying to protect you are not very effective, but it's all they know. They may be criticizing you and telling you that you're not very bright, that you're stupid, that you should just be quiet, that nobody wants to hear what you have to say. And they may be doing that from a place of trying to get you not to draw attention to yourself so you won't get in trouble, so you won't get noticed, you won't get harmed, you won't get hit. But the way that they might be doing that might be creating as much harm as it's protecting you from now. It might be creating this place of worthlessness, this place of guilt, this place of shame, this place of fear, of terror. So start to listen to what those inner people are actually trying to do for you, and let them know that you have this inner strength. While you still have this inner child within you, you're not that child anymore. You have this inner strength now. You are grown up, and you can do a lot more than you could when you were just a little child. So you need to find a balance between all of these inner voices that are drowning out the truth, the strength here. So that's the energy that you can draw upon to begin to release this trauma. Spirit, thank you for that message. What is a lesson that Group 3 can learn from this experience of trauma that they've had? What is a lesson for them to learn? Okay, a lesson for you to learn. We got the Prince of Pentacles and the Chariot. The lesson here is that you are still solid. Even though many times you don't feel that way, you do still have strength. And you are able to, you can move forward from this. You can, again, draw upon this strength. You have a very strong core. You have, had you not had a strength, an inner strength inside you, you may not feel like you do, but if you didn't, you wouldn't be here now. You would have succumbed to this trauma long ago. So give yourself credit. You have survived through this trauma in your life. You have the ability to take control of your life and bring yourself forward. You have this, both of these cards are showing you how much strength you have, and they're both cards of moving forward in a strong, solid way. So the lesson to learn from this trauma is that because you had this trauma, because of the trauma, you are much stronger than you might have been had you never had to fight in the face of trauma, had you never had to survive in the face of trauma. And so now you can utilize that strength that you gained through all of this to move your life forward, to move your life forward in a really, really solid way. So Spirit, how can Group 3 begin to move past this experience? How can they move past this trauma? How can Group 3 move past their trauma? How can they begin to move past their trauma? Okay. Okay, Group 3, don't do this alone. Don't try to do this alone. You need to do the work. You need to work on this trauma. You need to focus on it, and you need to learn how to heal this trauma. But you need to do so in a way that's not just hit and miss. You need to bring in some resources. This might be a professional. This might be a teacher. This might be a trusted friend. This could be a book. But you need to work together with some source of mastery or some source of information. you need to work together with a source that understands the trauma and how to heal it in the best way possible. Don't go about this just by yourself, because you're going to wind up back in this dark place again if you don't have any outside influences. And by outside influences, I don't just mean a buddy who's got an opinion. I mean, you need to find some sort of a resource that is knowledgeable, that is capable, and that is able to pass to you an understanding that is within your scope of understanding. So you need to find some resource that knows what it's talking about, is willing to share, and can share in a way that you can understand. Okay? And Spirit, what way will Group 3's life change as a result of releasing this trauma? How will their life change as a result of releasing this trauma and healing it? So many ways. Okay, so the first thing that's going to happen is that you're going to be able to rest and heal. Your life is going to change in that you will no longer have to fight against true or perceived trauma. You're not going to have to be on guard all the time anymore. You are going to make peace with your inner system. And you're just going to have, for the first time in your life, a true sense of calm and a sense that you are in control of your life. You're not going to completely give up right away the danger or the reminder of the trauma, but you're going to be in a place where you can handle it. You are going to be dictating what happens next, not the trauma, you. The other thing that's going to happen for you is that you're going to be able to finally celebrate and finally have some true relationships. You're going to be able to trust and enjoy the people around you. You're going to learn who you can trust, and you're going to learn who is genuine in your life, and that's going to bring you great happiness and joy. The Queen of Pentacles, you're going to understand how to make your life more whole. You're going to gain an understanding of what your life can be and how to make it a fulfilled, abundant, beautiful place. You're not going to have to be constantly on guard, and that's going to give you the energy, the time, the capacity to make your life into a much more beautiful place, to have beautiful things, to create a home that makes you feel nurtured and safe. You're potentially going to find love. It's going to come find you. It will very likely not be something that you're looking for. You're not going to be looking for it. It's going to come to you. And this time you're going to recognize it. And lastly, you got the Temperance card. You're going to be able to find a place of peace within your system. You're not going to be extremes anymore. You're not going to be extremely anxious. You're not going to be extremely depressed. You're not going to be having the highs. You're not going to be having the lows. You're going to be able to find a calm, peaceful place at your center, at your very core. And that feels wonderful. So I feel like this has been a really hopeful reading. I hope that you felt that way too, and that this has been helpful. And again, don't be afraid to reach out if you need help to clear this trauma. And I feel like this reading is saying that you do need help. And that may not mean that you can't do any of this on your own, but when we have other perspectives, we see things that we wouldn't see initially. So you can heal yourself up to a point, but you can't heal something that you don't realize needs healing. So that, I think, is why it's important to bring in other resources that can illuminate things that you maybe didn't see, so that you can heal those as well. Wow. I kind of love this reading. And I really, really hope that this brings you some clarity, some peace, some happiness, and a place to start healing this trauma, because it sucks to live with trauma. It sucks. And it feels really good to be able to heal it. It opens up so many facets of your life once you heal this. And I want that for you. So, yeah. So, again, I hope that this has been helpful for you. And I don't mean to stump for someone else here. I don't want to plug somebody else's program necessarily, but I'm familiar with a type of therapy, and I'm just learning it myself, that's called Internal Family Systems, or IFS. I believe it's something that everyone can benefit from, and especially people who have trauma. So if that interests you at all, I would recommend looking into it. And if you're not in the market for a therapist, there are IFS therapists. If you're not in the market for a therapist, there are books. Internal Family Systems. So if you're looking for a place to start for this help, for someone or something to bring in to help you with this, I would highly recommend starting there. It's not like any other therapy I've ever known, and it just intuitively makes so much sense. And it's something we all can do to a certain extent, even by ourselves. So hopefully that's a help for you. Of course, if you're in a place where you need help right now, reach out. If you're feeling suicidal, if you're terribly depressed, if you're not safe, if you're not feeling like you're safe, if you're still in this trauma, actively in this trauma, and you need to get away from that, reach out. There are resources that can help you. Suicide hotlines, shelters for battered women, abuse, and there's all kinds of hotlines. Reach out if you need to. Reach out to me. I'll help you find something if you need that. So, I genuinely hope that this has helped you begin to heal this trauma. And I want for you to be in this beautiful place. So, best of luck and best wishes for you to get there. Thank you so much for sharing this reading with me. I have really, really enjoyed spending time with you. And I really, really hope that this is something that helped you. If you have any comments, I'd be happy to hear them. I would so love to hear from you. And I hope that we can spend time together again soon. Thank you. Bye-bye.